Today at Todd's Dodge Garage, I'm going to be changing the intake manifold on my 1966 Dodge Charger with a 383. It has a crack back here and it's leaking. As you all know from previous videos, this car sat in a barn for 22 years before I rescued it. We did get the engine running. There is some issues. Their freeze plugs had been pushed out. There is a crack in the block, a hairline crack. We're just trying to get the engine running reliably at this point. I put leak sealer in there, and that is just a band-aid on a bullet wound. But for today, I'm going to change the intake manifold and show you the steps that I go through to do that. So without further ado, we are going to get started. First thing I'm going to do is take off the fuel line. I've had this fuel line on and off a few times. I've had various components on and off the carburetor, etc. a few times. So things are will come loose a little easier. I'm just taking clips off the carburetor. I don't want to drop them. Just pulling off carb linkage now. Gonna pull off the vacuum line for the PCV valve. We're gonna go ahead and get the coil out of the way. I've got the battery disconnected, so I'm not worried about anything. This wire here is for the air conditioning, which I will fix at some point. I'm not too worried about it right now. Just getting things out of the way. There's the vacuum line for the distributor. Next thing to do is we're going to get this bracket out of the way. That's kind of a pain. What I do is I always just set the fasteners back in the bracket or whatever, and I kind of just lay them, well, on the fender, but in position as they would normally go. I'm going to go ahead and take the carburetor off now. we're kind of looking at our bare intake. We still have a vacuum line to take off here. There's some brackets that'll come off when we start removing this. Now the AC compressor bracket obviously goes over top of the intake manifold. If you loosen this up, you can actually slide the intake underneath of it, and hopefully that is what's going to happen. This is a bit rusty, so I'm a little concerned about it, but we'll see what happens. Now y'all can do whatever you want to do in your own order. I set bolts on the fenders in the order that they are, that they come out. That's just something I do. However you want to do it is totally fine. Bracket for the coil. I don't think we need to remove that at this time. Doesn't look like it's in the way. Here's another bracket. Obviously we want to get that out of the way. This really isn't a bad job, to be honest with you. A little bit of fussing around. As you can see, here's how I lay things out. So I have the brackets laid out. This bracket here is the one that's on the coil side. This one here is on the driver's side. This is obviously the bracket for the return spring on the carburetor. These are the two coil nuts. There's the carburetor and the 4 nuts. So I kind of lay things out in the order, so they go back together. I know where they are. This is the first bolt. It'll be the second, third, fourth, etc. So we're doing all this. We're doing all this in the hopes of getting this to run just a little bit better and a little more reliably. So you'll notice they're rusted in, they're coming out tight. What you don't want to do is just reef on it, because you can snap the bolts off. I'm basically acting like a torque wrench. I'm pulling pressure on it. I'm not yanking or jerking it, and I'm just letting the pressure kind of break those loose, similar to when you use a torque wrench. This bolt is really corroded and bad. We're going to need some help with that one. There is no doubt about it. Not sure that one's going to come out. It does not look like it's in good shape. It's kind of hard to see on camera. It's this bolt here. It's really rusty and the head's deteriorated. May have to get some persuasion. So this is kind of fun. I don't get to work on my own stuff hardly at all due to the business and the restoration business. I got up early this morning. It's Sunday. I told my wife, I said, I'm going to come work on my own car just a little bit. I should be spending time with my family today, but that just isn't happening. That one's gonna snap off. So that's gonna be fun. We're gonna have issues. Now we'll get all the rest of the bolts out. That one is gonna snap. I was afraid of that. We do have some tricks up our sleeve to get that bolt out. That is going to be a problem. I can guarantee it. Okay, so now we've got the air conditioning compressor loose. There's a third bolt that goes into the cylinder head here. We're not taking it out, but it's loose enough that we have room, okay? All the wire harnesses out of the way. We've got the 4 bolts across the driver's side. We've got 3 bolts left. This one's loose. This back one, let's see if that comes out. They are so corroded and rusty. Well, down to the bolt that's going to break. This would be an easy job if it wasn't for that one. What can we do? First we have to get all the debris out from around. And if that bolt breaks, then we have a real big problem. So we're going to hit it with some penetrating oil, some heat, kind of a little of everything. Now if we have to bring out the big dog torches, we can. Prefer not to. Now we're just taking off this vacuum line to the power brake booster. We're just trying to shock it right now. We're letting the penetrating oil seep in there. The heat expands it enough. Hopefully it gets into there. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. Get a little bit bigger wrench on it and we'll see what happens here. Bolt's so rusty it's deteriorated. Huh. No, let's see what we got. Let's hit it again. Ouch. Yep, torch is hot. I really don't want to just snap it off and then try to lift the intake off over it. I mean, that's an option. We can do that and then extract, you know, a broken stud. Where is my screwdriver? Get some of this rust out of the way. Just trying to pound a socket on. This is going to be a problem. I'm going to go ahead and get the choke thermostat out of the way. We're going to have to bring out the big torches. Now, I'll be right back. Get a little bit of water just in case, you know, we're going to be heating things up. I also have a rag. I'm covering the fuel line. We're going to get that out of the way here. Now we've got our big torch. We're just going to heat everything up here. What you see burning is just the penetrating oil. And you don't actually want to heat the bolt. You want to heat the intake and expand that is what you're doing. The bolt is naturally going to heat, but if you concentrate the heat on the intake around the bolt, what you're trying to do is get it to expand to break the rust lock that it has. Now we're going to take a little bit of water, just rapid cool it. Let's see what happens now. We can try to give it a break, see if it will, if that did anything yet. Bolt is starting to round off. This is kind of worst case scenario situation, really, but we're having fun. That was smart. How about we put something in the holes here? It'll probably catch fire when we torch it again. That's okay. Well, we're kind of throwing the toolbox at this, you know. Always use your screwdriver as a wedge. There we got it free. So a little bit of work, a little bit of heat, a little bit of penetrating oil, a little bit of pounding. If you have patience and stay with it, don't get frustrated, you can get these studs out that are gonna snap with just a little bit of work. We are super happy that didn't break, let me tell you. Man, would that have sucked. Look at that. All rusty and yucky. Don't think that bolt's going back in. Kind of soak up some of this water. Yes, some is going to go in the engine. That's fine. We don't really care. Like I said, it runs, doesn't run great. There was milk in the oil. So now we have all the bolts loose. We should be able to break this thing. Oh, there it went. Look at that. It broke loose. With all that pounding and banging, it broke loose. Now we just slide it out. Pick it up. Use our air conditioning compressor as a wedge. And look at that, there we go. There's one intake manifold that we are replacing. Let's get you in here. There's what I'm dealing with. So I'm almost scared to take off this valley pan. Those are 7/16. So now these screws in front, because of the AC compressor bracket, you have to get with a wrench. Very doable. Not difficult at all. And you can get your hands back in there. Everybody's got their own way of doing things. Totally fine. I don't criticize you guys. Well, maybe I do. You don't know. I don't, actually. One rusty bracket. 6 rusty bolts. Another rusty bracket. Now, in theory, the valley pan will come off. What in the hell is that? Sealant or something. So now we just gotta try to get, I don't even want to see what's underneath here. I'm telling you what, it's not going to be good. It's not. Let's take a look. Yikes. Get that sealant out of here. Yeah, we've got some cleaning to do. I've seen worse. Yeah. cam has some surface rust on one of the lobes. Yeah, we got to get this shit cleaned up, man. This is not good. This is what I thought it was going to be. Get all this cleaned up here. Oh boy. Garbage can, shop rags, engine, just cleaning up the valley and getting all the sludge and shit out of here. It's probably not going to do any good, but it certainly can't hurt. I do have block seal in here, kind of mechanic in a can sort of stuff, you know, because of the crack that's between the freeze plugs. And again, that's just a band-aid. We're just trying to get this thing to run just for a little while. I've got another engine. A little bit of brake cleaner. Okay. So now we've got the intake off. We've got things cleaned up just a little bit better. Now I'm going to work on cleaning up the cylinder heads and the gasket surfaces. I'll be back. Well, the next door neighbor is mowing the lawn, as you guys can hear. The lawnmower's going, so I apologize for that. So here's what we got. We've cleaned this up a little bit, as you can see. We're going to continue cleaning. Right now I'm going to clean the gasket surfaces on the cylinder heads and just prep this to put a new gasket on. Again, this is the air conditioning wire that we'll fix later on. Right now I'm not too worried about AC functioning in the car. Basically, we're just using a red roll-lock, just cleaning up the surface. We're not taking any material off per se. since we have an AC compressor bracket in the way, I'm gonna have to go get a file, and that's how we'll get this front surface just kind of cleaned up and prepped with just a file. So we're looking pretty good here. We'll be able to reassemble it here pretty quick here, so hang on with me just a minute. And we're just getting all the old gasket material off. This is called surfacing the heads while they're on the car. Until next time, that's Todd's Dodge Garage. We are going to finish up on the install of the intake manifold. As you can see, we've got everything cleaned up here. Everything removed. As you can see, we've got everything cleaned up now. We're going to take some RTV, which is a gasket sealer or maker, however you want to look at it. Put it in the corners here, on all four corners for the valley pan. We'll go ahead and get our valley pan set in place, and then we'll get our intake set in place. Now I'm putting just a little on the cylinder head where there's some deterioration, just to make sure we get a good seal. This just fills in any little imperfections. Now, if you're going to paint all your hardware, now's the time to do it when you have it out. I've thoroughly cleaned everything, inspected everything, but since all we're trying to do is get this motor running a little bit more reliably, it does run, but there's a couple little issues with it. See, and you can do it with the AC bracket on. Plenty of room to reach your fingers in, put bolts in and wrenches. We're just tightening up all the hardware in these bolts here, I should say. Normally you might want to leave them loose until the intake is on. Give everything a chance to move around a little. But in this case, since we're doing it with the AC bracket on, we can't get to anything. Well, we can't get to them easily with the intake on. Everything lines up, all the bolt holes for the intake or valley pan lines up. Now we're going to set the intake on. We're going to slide it into place underneath the AC bracket. Okay. Looking pretty good. Got to tap it that way, just a fuzz. There we go. I'm just going to try to tap it in place here. There we go. Look at that. Okay. Now we're just tightening the fasteners, getting them drawn down. We're not actually torquing them yet. Should we be torquing them? Yes. Are we going to? Nope. We're going to get them close. And we're actually going to go on the light side. Okay. I even forgot a bracket. Alright, carb changed. clip. Turn springs. Okay. Fuel line. Okay, I'll wait a minute to trim. Until next time, that's Todd's Dodge Garage.